Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to something a little different here on the burner account. I am your host, Big Joe, and with me, as always, my trusty companion, Mr. Julio Dadon. Tell him what's up, Julio.
What's good, everybody?
We're going to do something a little different tonight. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do a movie review. And just a warning, there will be spoilers. Spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen the movie and you are interested in watching it, pause this video, go check it out,
Yeah.
and then come back and let us know what you think. The movie that we will be discussing in this video is none other than, well, you can probably tell by the thumbnail, but it is going to be The Gorge, courtesy of Apple TV. And this one was a good one to me, man. I really enjoyed this movie. Something different from what we see now, which is a lot of retreads, remakes, same premise type stuff. Like it just, in a world of repetitious content, you get something a little bit different with this movie, and I really like that. Now, I'm not saying this is just one of those
completely original.
Yeah, this is not one of those, because I do think one of the big things that we discussed when we talked about it was this kind of gives off that Resident Evil umbrella type. This gives off that zombies type stuff from Call of Duty, stuff like that. It's kind of in that space, in that vein of content.
Agree.
But we like stuff like that, right? Like, we're big Resident Evil fans. We're Call of Duty fans. So it's right up our alley. Myles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy are the actor and actress that star primarily in this movie. And I think Anna plays Drasa and Myles Teller plays Levi.
That is correct.
And so you kind of see the start of the movie opens up with Drasa. Did this not give you the vibes of Call of Duty when you're a sniper and you got to make that shot with the wind blowing and you're taking, I don't even remember who it was that you're taking out. But I think it was in 4, was it not? Was it in 4?
I think it was in 2.
In 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in 2.
2, where you're taking out one of the generals.
Right.
Yeah, from a long range shot. Like,
from like
really
a building,
long
right?
range. Yeah, from a building,
Yeah, it kind of gives that vibe, right? And you see she makes a shot. It's so nonchalant the way she reacts, and she's just like, all right, business as usual. And then it cuts to like her, and she meets this guy in the cemetery, and then you find out it's her dad, and he's telling her you need to get out of the life, and that's really what she knows. And then you see Myles Teller's character Levi, and you see he's waking up in cold sweats. He's like in a panic, and you can just tell like maybe he's got some kind of PTSD. Well, they call him in. They kind of give a quick backstory of how he's a phenomenal sniper as well, and how he's like a military hero, and he's made all these confirmed kills, and then they talk about his non-confirmed kills, stuff like that. Like, they're setting him up to be like a badass, right? So it's like, okay, a badass with a mysterious past.
Kind of, sort of. That's the one thing that I did enjoy from the movie. The way that it started out, even though it was just a little slow, I did like the fact that, you get those two backstories, a little bit of the backstories for both of those characters. Again, like you said, Drasa, in a sniper area, just getting ready for her shot. As the camera zooms in, she's waking up, brushing her teeth. Like, she's been camping there for like you could tell for a good while.
Like, she's marking the days.
Yeah, she's marking the days of how many days she's been there. And then all of a sudden you see that airplane fly in and it lands. And as soon as it lands and these people start stepping out, she takes the shot that she needs to take and takes out the person she needs to take out. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
then
cool.
the other thing too, whenever after she hit her mark, the shell casing that came out after that, she kind of picks it up and puts it in her pocket and takes it with her. And like you said already, when she meets her dad in the cemetery, he's like, give me your shame. And you see her take out that shell casing and hands it to him. And he has like this big old bag full of these shell casings in there. So you can obviously tell that she's a badass in her own right, sniper, right? And then, of course, Miles Teller's character, Levi, when he's being interviewed and he gets pulled in, they start telling him about how many confirmed kills he has and this and that and the other, and how many private contractors he's worked with and what ex-military projects he's done and this and that and the other. So again, it kind of sets everything up to that. Yeah, this is two badass elite snipers that they're contracting, right? So I thought that was really cool. And then of course, it gets into the meat part of the movie. But yeah, that to me was badass. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, man, great job of filling in the gaps there from what I missed. The premise of the movie, just how you could describe it best, is two highly trained operatives are appointed to posts in guard towers on opposite sides of a vast and highly classified gorge, protecting the world from a mysterious evil that lurks within. They work together to keep the secret inside the gorge. And so that's kind of what they end up doing is he gets dropped off at his location. It's a huge like observation tower. She
Mm-hmm.
gets dropped off on her side and her observation tower. The towers are facing each other. There's a like a chasm, a gorge right in between them. You can't really see much of anything,
Nope.
but they're highly weaponized and they have fences and stuff, and you kind of look and you're like, man, what the hell is this? And it's off the grid
Yeah.
completely. And you realize that the East and West have both been protecting this secret.
Mm-hmm.
And you start to wonder, like, okay, what the hell is it? Like, what's so serious?
What's going on? Yeah.
Right. And it kind of gives you an indication that there's something wrong, because when Miles Teller goes, he meets the guy that he'll be relieving who was there the year before. He
Mm-hmm.
spent a year there and he meets the guy. The guy's like, "Man, so glad to see you." Blah 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 blah. He shows him around. Where
Gives
they
him the
pick him up
rundown.
to extract him. They kill him on the way out.
Bro, I thought that was crazy.
I was like, "That's wild, bro. That's wild work right there." You're like, "Okay, this isn't what it seems like, because
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to be like a government sponsored mission, but
Mm-hmm.
it's looking like already it's like this is shady.
Yeah.
Like, this doesn't make sense." And so with her, you kind of see her, and they're kind of going back and forth. He's trying to figure it out. He sees all these writings and journalings on the walls and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And um, ultimately, what happens is, he notices her across the gorge. She starts to notice him across the gorge. The rule is you're not supposed to make contact with one another. You just worry about your side. They'll worry about their side, and they start communicating via these big old notepad type
Mm-hmm.
things.
Writing
And
writing notes to each other,
right,
basically.
right,
Yeah.
right. And eventually you can see like a bit of a chemistry starts to develop between them, even though they've never spoken to one another. They've just
Yeah.
kind of written to one another. And then as time goes on, they become a little bit closer, a little bit closer. And then the day comes that he decides he's going to make his way across to her,
Mhm.
across the gorge.
Yeah.
Now, I believe before he makes his way across, they had already kind of seen some stuff coming out of the gorge, right?
Yeah.
And so she's firing in at his side. He's firing at her side,
Mhm.
because there's creatures coming up both sides of the walls of this gorge.
And at this part of the movie, you can't really see what they are. Like, you can't really see exactly what they are. You can
Right.
kinda get a glimpse of what they are, but you don't really see it necessarily what they are, right? And I think that's what made the movie a little bit more interesting is because it's like, what the fuck is that that's coming out of the gorge that's like crawling up the walls to try to get up into that, area where they're at. So that part was interesting. Um, and then of course
Did
the
they look
whole
like liquors to you from like Resident Evil 2?
yeah, I did. At first, I thought it was like some sort of monster that
Right.
they had created,
Right.
and then especially after the speech that the guy gave him, Levi, whenever he first showed up, that he's like, because he's asking the obvious question is like, what the hell are we keeping? What are we keeping people out? What are we doing? And he's like, actually, you're keeping from whatever the hell is in there from coming out. He's
Right.
like, well, what the hell is in there? And he drops a bomb off of the tower deck into the gorge so that way it'll explode or whatever. And then you could just hear these screams and like these creatures in the gorge. And when you get that sound coming from there, he's like, what the hell is that? He's like, all I could tell you is the gates to hell. And it's like it leaves you on a little bit of a cliffhanger whenever he
Yeah.
says that. And I'm like, so what the fuck? Because I'm thinking the same thing that he's thinking. Like, what the fuck is down there, right? And then once we get later on in the movie, where you know she's obviously across the way, but she's celebrating her birthday. She decides to break the rules to start communicating, even though he's like, we're not supposed to communicate to each other, this and that and the other. And then they finally start communicating with each other. And during that little bit of period where they're going back and forth, she sees something crawling up and she starts shooting first. And so he looks down and he sees these creatures crawling up to him and he starts shooting at them. And the next thing you know, she has creatures crawling up on her end too. So then they're both, like Joe said, one side shooting the other side shooting the other side, just to keep all these creatures out and making sure that they stay where they're supposed to stay. So yeah, man, it was really good. It got at that point in time of the movie, it literally hooked me right then and there. I couldn't stop
Yeah.
watching it. I was like, okay, let's see where the hell this goes. So yeah, it was really, really good as far as that goes.
Yeah, man. At that point, I was like, okay, now business is picking up. I like it. I like it. Here we
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
So he makes his way across to her. She makes him rabbit pie, and I was like, that sounds disgusting. I would have been like pissed off that I just flew across this gorge and risked my life for some rabbit pie. Now that's not the only pie he got because he did definitely get some poontang pie right after, but still,
Mhm.
you know, they do the whole. She's like,
Romantic
you
thing.
stink," and he's like, "Yeah, I got stuck like midway through, and I had to like
Oh my
manually crawl
god.
my way across. So I'm all sweaty." You see,
You
like
see them building chemistry. That's all you see,
exactly,
really. Yeah.
not even building their at that point, the chemistry is starting to boil over, right?
Yeah.
Like they've already built the initial chemistry. Now it's like, okay, it's starting to get a little more real because they're
Yeah.
with each other now.
Yeah.
And he spends the night and they talk about this, that, and the other. And then when he's going to make his way across to go back to his post, because he does have to report by a certain time every day, like a check in.
It's every 30 days, but yeah.
So he's going to make his report. He goes back across. Creatures come up. The his cable gets snapped. He falls into the gorge, and she just jumps in after him. Doesn't even
Immediately.
think twice
Yeah.
about it.
Well, she runs and grabs a bunch of stuff to help her get back up, right?
Right.
But she jumps right after him. Again, kind of building on that whole uh they've already met each other, they've already built that chemistry. And I think even before he leaves to go back across, he tells her I love you. And that kind of like leaves her a little bit of a shock.
Lame.
And so as he's going back across and the line snaps, of
Yeah,
course,
she's like,
obviously,
don't tell me goodbye. He was like, I
yeah.
was gonna say goodbye. I was
Yeah, I
gonna
was
say I love you.
love you, and then he takes off.
Oh, chill out, bro.
So,
You
yeah.
got one night together and you're in love, wiener.
But, yeah, then he falls in the gorge, and she runs after him or falls in after him to go try to go save him.
She dove in head first
Bro, that shit
with
was
no
crazy.
hesitation.
Yeah. that shit right there was crazy to me. I was like, you seriously telling me she just fucking no second thought, just kind of just dove right in to
Could
try to
never
go
be
save
me,
his
bro.
ass.
Could never be me. I would have been like,
The
dang.
crazier part is that she lands in the river when she gets to the bottom of the gorge. So
Yeah.
she's damn near drowning. She loses the damn ascender that she packed with her in the damn river. So it makes her go on this damn kind of goose chase to find him and look for him. And he's stuck in a tree upside down where he fucking fell at. So so it was wild, man, but it was cool. It was cool to see because, of course, as you're already hooked into it and you see these creatures come up initially, you're like, what the hell is down there? What the
Right.
hell is coming up? So,
Right.
yeah.
Hey, bro, like when he falls and he falls into like this weird Venus flytrap looking thing,
Oh, yeah.
that made me super anxious, dog. Like my hands started sweating because I was like, all
Where
right.
he couldn't move and he's like, uh,
He's
uh.
like, the more you move, it was like quicksand. He's like, the
Yeah.
more you move, the more stuck you get. And you
Yeah.
just see these like
Teeth
teeth
coming up out of
coming,
the ground.
yeah, doing this number here, like about to close in on him. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh hell, this heifer's knocked out because she was drowning in the river,
Hmm.
this piss colored river. And she makes her way to him just in time. She gets him out, and then they they're starting to kind of try to make their way through the gorge. There's a lot of fog everywhere. It's hard to see what's going on.
Yep.
And you can just hear these like noises,
Hmm.
these like howls and screams, and it's just like, okay, what's going on? Well, then they get attacked, and now they're just shooting wild at all these creatures that are coming at them.
Hmm.
They run out of ammunition, and then kind of pick it up from there, Julio.
So, so the thing that I saw was, the thing that was interesting to me is that some of these creatures um, look like animals and humans, right? Running around down there, but they were already kind of mutated or transformed, if you will, at this point. And as they're trying to get away, of course, they're freaking the hell out because they're like, "What the hell is going on right now?" And trying to figure out how the hell they can get back up to the top of the gorge so where they can get the hell out of there. As they're making their way through this fog like area, they run into a small town, and in this small town, as they're walking through it, they see a church. And of course, you can hear the creatures off in the distance. So they're like, you know what? Let's duck in here real quick. Let's try to get out of sight and see if we can find some safety. So as they go into the church, of course, they go into the church and you see, skeletons and people that have already passed already, that that they have already been there for a while, and people decaying and whatnot. And the building itself is dilapidating. And you can tell it's like all these years of watching scary movies and playing horror video games, is like you can tell something's about to go down in here. You could obviously tell something's about to go down, especially if you've gamed any horror games or if you've watched any horror movies. You already know some shit's about to go down.
Hey, this
And
was
as
like the safe spot right before you go into
yeah,
something crazy. That's what that was.
so as they're walking through this church and they're just kind of looking around and checking everything out, you see something move in the rafters, but you don't really see what it is. And then, of course, as they're panning and they're looking and they're making sure that everything's all right, all of a sudden, it looks like a skull, but it's a spider running at them. It's huge too. On top of that, and then all of a sudden they're coming out of everywhere and they're shooting up the place. And of course, since they're making all this damn noise, all the creatures from outside can hear them in there. They bust in. They're trying to get their asses too, and it just turns into madness at that point. So I think at that point, Drasa, she yells out, "Clearing a hole!" Blows up the back of the church just to get the hell out of there. They finally make it out of there and cut across this long field that's getting close to where the gorge wall is at.
Mm-hmm.
And once they come to that, is where they find kind of like a bunker that's inside the actual wall. So they go into that bunker, and as they're searching through the bunker, they come to to the surprise that they find out that this was an operated facility by both sides, by the East and the West. Um, and they were making chemical weapons basically. Of course, with
They
the
were trying to make super soldiers.
yeah, they were trying to make super soldiers. So, but then ended up making like a biological weapon that turns people, plants and animals kind of get merged together and they turn them into these creatures that, you know, just take over and kind of like a zombie outbreak almost, damn near. So,
Resident Evil much?
yeah, it gave me that vibe after that, you know. And then, of course, with all the symbols of a private sector and a private company running it and this and that and the other, that automatically made me think Umbrella.
Umbrella
Umbrella Company.
Corporation?
It made me automatically think that, and I was like, "Bro, this right here is almost kind of everything you would wanna see in a Resident Evil movie."
You're
This
just waiting for Albert Wesker to hop in there for some reason?
for some weird reason. But yeah, man, I mean, it cuts to that to where they figure out that that the powers that be have been using this facility to kind of like take samples and see if they can create a super soldier out of this kind of disease or whatever you want to call it, you know, outbreak that's going on down there. And the only thing that they've been doing is they've been trying to keep it under wraps and trying to keep it hidden by making sure that nothing makes it out of there.
Mhm.
So basically what ends up happening is they get all the information. They find out that I can't remember the name of the company. I think it was Dark Lake.
Dark Lake.
Yeah, Dark Lake. That was the private sector or the private company that was running this whole, you know, super serum, super soldier type thing. And then once they figure all that out, they're like, you know what? We got to figure out a way to shut this shit down. This isn't right. People, you know, they took real people that were down here, kind of infected everybody, and they're trying to keep people down here. And you end up finding out that some of the creatures that they end up killing are like ex-military soldiers, soldiers
A
that
lot of
were
them were
there.
ex-military
Some of them, because I think at one point he does say that they sent a cavalry in there of I don't know how many guys, and
on
like the
horses.
soldier on horses, and the horses and the soldiers all got infected. And so, of course, they're all mutated. They're into these damn creatures that are trying to kill them now. At this point, they end up finding out that all these guys are ex-military. Like these are all the guys that they sent in here to try to kill whatever's in here, and they end
From
up
like the 1940s.
yeah, which was crazy, bro. I was like, they got motherfuckers in there from World War II still,
Yeah.
World War One probably, um, in that gorge, stuck in there, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Um, but yeah, man, it was just wild. All the little twists and turns, and then of course, you know, I like the fact that it had like bits and pieces where they had to be like super quiet and walk through different areas, and
Just build that tension, that
yeah,
suspense.
it,
It was nothing too graphic. It was nothing too like
mhm.
overly done. It was just like
It was just right.
subtle anxiety, like,
Yes.
"Oh, man, like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen?"
Like, when they
You know,
were
like, it
going through
gets
that
quiet and
bridge
you
when they were
catch
going through
yourself, like, holding your
yeah,
breath, you're like,
when they were going through the bridge, bro, when they were crossing, like, that big ass web of all those people that were, like, chain linked together, and you can see them breathing, and as they're crawling through there, I was sitting there like,
yeah, and they're, like, trying to tiptoe
"Yeah,
around so that
yeah,
they don't, like, wake anything up.
yeah." That shit was crazy. It was dope, though.
Hey, you know what that looked like? In
Mm.
Resident Evil, when you walk into that room and you see all those nemesis in those pods?
Yes,
It was kinda like
yes.
that, right?
It's exactly like that. It gave me all those vibes, bro. Like, that's why I said, you know, it was such a great I think that if they would have made the Resident Evil movies that literally came out, if they would have made the Resident Evil movies like this movie, I think it would have hit way, way better than I mean, not to say that the Resident Evil movies ain't some of them are good, but some of them are like over the top, like way
Right,
over the top.
right.
And but yeah, man, if they would have made Resident Evil movies like that, that would have probably hit the nail on the head because it was perfect, bro, as far as that goes.
Now, it was pretty lame ass when they got back to the wall and they're using a Jeep and a Jeep winch to get
Yeah,
back up.
to get back.
I was like, lame. The CGI on that was so bad. I was like, ugh. This is the worst part of the movie. So they're like climbing up the side of this big
Mhm,
ass gorge wall in a Jeep that's got a winch that they shot out of the gorge and it
mhm.
wrapped into like a tree. And so they're using that to kind of get up slowly. And you just see like these creatures crawling up, trying to get on the Jeep. He's fighting them off. She's fighting them off. And they finally make their way out of the gorge after like the Jeep gets cut loose and they're just using the cable to kind of get back up. And then at the very end, they're out of the gorge, and then they're kind of trying to figure out. He's like, okay, now we got to come up with a plan. And so once they get a plan together, then he checks in. They know that he's compromised. He's been in the gorge, and I think what was it like 3 days, 5 days
Yeah, I
before you
think
turn.
yeah, I
So
think it
he was
was
like,
like
okay, I'll see you. Like he leaves her. He's like, I'll see you in whatever the amount of days was, and we'll meet back up and we'll see what's up.
mhm. Oh, no, yeah, like, right after that, you know, they basically, they make it out, and I like you said, because they think they're infected because they were down there for an exposed amount of time, and they see videos and stuff that say, "If you breathe in this gas, it's gonna turn you at some point." So they were like, I don't think if we can get the hell out of here quick enough, I don't think that we'd be exposed enough in order for us to turn. But in the rare event that we do, we both know what we need to do, right? Which is an obvious answer to anybody that's ever played a video game. If if you turn into one, you're gonna get killed like one. That's it.
You got to get
Somebody
put down like oh yeller style.
yeah, pretty much. And so they both make it out. They both get to their respective towers. After they get to their respective towers, of course, you have the evil person or the evil leader behind this who ends up being Sigourney Weaver for Dark Lake.
Yo,
Basically,
alien bitch.
basically call in and just say, "Hey, just wanted to check in on everything. It seems like one of our modules down in the gorge was turned on. By any chance, did you make it down there?"
Nope.
And he plays it cool. He's like, "Yeah, no, I don't know anything about that. Don't know what's going on. I saw one of your drones fly out of there, so I assume it's something to do with your drones." She's like, "Well, I'm gonna have to assume that since it wasn't you, it was probably your counterpart on the other side. So with that being said, I'm gonna need you to take them out."
Killer.
And so he's like, "Okay,
Now
consider."
now comes the big climax of
So
you you've been compromised. You
you
got a
think
killer.
you got a killer. And so he plays it cool. He's like, "All right, consider it done." Being an elite sniper, being a killer in sense, he's like, "Yeah, consider it done. I'll get it taken care of." They hang up and they go about their business still running the tower like they're supposed to be, but because they had already talked about it previously, like what's going to happen and what needs to happen, they already kind of had a plan in place, right? And they also knew what the kilometers were to be away from the blast, the radius of the blast that would take place if they were to set loose the, I think it was called the stray dog protocol.
Stray dog.
Yeah, I think that's
He's
what it
like
was called.
the guy when he gets there, he's like, "What's that siren up there?" He's like, "If you hear it, run like hell."
Yeah, and he's like, "What do you mean run like hell?" And he's like, "It's the stray dog protocol." And he's like, "Well, what is it?" He's like, "I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that you just need to run like hell."
But they
And
they do show when they're down in that bunker that the stray dog protocol is basically we're nuking everything.
yeah, everything. They were gonna wipe everything out.
We
And
we
so,
we got to protect this secret at all costs,
yeah,
even if it means we're
destroying everything. Yeah,
we're just leveling everything in this gorge. Like
yeah.
it's wraps.
And so they get to a point to where
Hey, what was the distance? Was it 4 miles?
it was 4.2, yeah, 4.2 kilometers. I think that's what it said.
Kilometers.
Yeah. So
Kilometers?
yeah, I think that's what it said.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Yeah, if y'all do watch the movie and y'all check it out, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I
Yeah.
think it was 4.2
Yeah.
kilometers.
So they're gonna have to go a good
A
ways to get
good
the hell
ways, yeah.
out of the range.
And I think they even had it synchronized on their watches, like how far they have to go, especially if they were gonna go through the plan that they were gonna go through, which was basically take out all the what were they called? The cloakers that were all set up on the gorge. They were going to take all those out, which would set off as soon as all the cloakers were gone. It was going to set off the stray dog protocol and cause that bomb to hit to where it would annihilate basically everything. And so, like Joe said, we get to the climax of the movie where they're basically directing him to kill the person across, and he's like, "Yeah, sure, consider it done." And then I think it takes them maybe a day or 2 to get there, and as they hear them coming in, they already know what's up. They already know that
You
they're gonna
see the
come.
chopper, you hear the chopper, you know it's about to go down.
Yeah, they're coming to get our asses because they know that we've been down there, basically. They know the gig is up. So they start taking off, trying to defend their own respective rights. They both take off separate on the separate sides that they're on, and they get to the, amounted or to the kilometers that they're supposed to be at, and then they let off a shot, one single shot, both on both sides, and they had already rigged all the cloakers to blow. And as soon as they hit the shot, everything blows, and that's when you see the stray dog protocol hit. And Sigourney Weaver's alien bitch ass is trying to escape, and she cannot get out of the radius of the
Hey,
blast,
they're busting ass trying to get out of
bro.
there. They're like,
Trying
okay,
too
we got to
hard.
get this helicopter off the ground.
Now, and then she's like, "Don't worry about height. Get distance. Get the
Mhm,
fuck away from me."
mhm.
Here. But again, doesn't get away in time. And then the
Yeah,
last thing,
while now don't skip the part like while they're running away, they're being attacked by these like
fucking drones.
drones.
Yeah, that was crazy. The
And those
minigun
drones were
drone.
big as hell, fool.
Hell yeah, and they took them out again because you can tell they're elite snipers. They take them out with one shot to put the drones down. Even though they do get caught in the fire lane, I guess you could say, of the drones. As they're trying to get away. I want to say Levi's character is the one that gets hit, right? Like he
Mhm.
gets hit to where it's hard for him to run, but he's still trying to run and
Like, he's, like,
make it.
dragging his
Like he's
dumb
dragging his
ass
leg,
leg
yeah.
like,
Yeah, but he's running, and then the other, of course, Drasa, she's just running and gunning and is able to take out these drones like nothing
she gets caught behind that tree,
behind that tree. Yeah,
and you just see, like, like,
yeah,
right in front of her, it's like, "Oh, somebody
yeah.
gonna die."
Somebody gonna die, and that's what I thought at first. I thought one of them was gonna die at least.
I was like, "Surely this is not gonna go down happy ever after." Not
Yeah,
like that. Somebody gotta
that's
be
what
the
I thought
collateral
too.
damage.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. And then, as of course you get to like we said, when we got to the last part where they both make it to their respective spots, they blow up the cloakers, the bomb drops, the evil bitch is trying to get away, but she don't get away. And then, of course, you see Drasa like make it all the way to where she needs to make it. And at that point, you don't really see too much what happens with Levi because you see that he was dragging ass with his fucking leg. So you're
And you
automatically
just see the
thinking,
nuke go off,
and you see the nuke
and
go
it's
off.
just like it's coming at him, right?
Yeah, yeah, and oh, no, yeah, and then it blows him off of the side of the cliff, and he falls into the water, and that's the
Into the
last you see of
river.
him.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the last you see of him. And Drasa, on the other hand, she's already made it all the way to the top where she needs to make it, and the next time we see her there, she's at the spot where she said that they needed to meet up afterwards, and she waits for him, and he gives her a note before they like separate from each other again the second time, and he's like, "Don't open this until sunset. If I don't make it, open it on sunset." And so she opens it. It's a poem that he had wrote her, all fucking
Lame.
sappy face and shit.
Lame.
So he wrote her a poem and shit. And she starts crying, and she ends up going to, I think, France or
Yeah.
somewhere
Yeah.
to work like at offshore at like a diner
Or
or a
coffee
restaurant,
shop
coffee
looking
shop, yeah, place. And she's sitting there just kind of just doing her thing. And then all
sad.
of a sudden,
Sad
all
because
sad.
he's been gone. Now she waited a while for him.
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
And then I think it was sometime later that
Yeah. I want to say it was like 2 months. I could be wrong though.
something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she turns around and he's sitting at one of the tables waiting on her, and they get their happily ever after at the end. And you get to do the whole aw. So it has a little bit of everything for everybody. If you
Little
like
love,
scary
little
stuff,
violence. Yeah.
little love, little violence, a love story, all that good shit, then yeah, really good movie. Definitely date night worthy, for real. You could definitely watch it with your significant other, and I'm pretty sure they'll enjoy the hell out of it too.
Your girl will love the love story,
Oh yeah,
the
definitely.
coming together. Your dude will love the action and
Mhm.
the
For sure.
violence and stuff like that. And yeah, man, I think this is a good movie that you can watch with your significant other and
Mhm.
just kind of turn your brain off. You don't have to think all critically
Mhm.
hard, and it's nothing like that. It's like pretty straightforward. Like this is just
Yeah.
kind of what it is.
None of those movies that you have to literally, like, piece stuff together
Where you
and
got to
like,
watch it like 5 times, and every time it's like, oh, I
"Oh,
didn't notice that the
that's
last time.
why that happened."
Bruh, chill out, bro. I'm just trying to brain rot myself over here.
Let me enjoy a fucking movie without having to think,
Can I
please.
just not have to
Jesus.
piecemeal this movie together in views? But
Bro.
but yeah, man. Scale of 1 to 5. What would you rate this movie?
Scale of 1 to 5, I would say I would give it probably a good solid 4 for me.
I'm right there with you. I was
Mhm,
thinking of 4 as well.
mhm,
So looks like we're in agreement on that, guys. If you get a chance to check out this movie, it is called The Gorge with Miles Taylor and Anna Miles Teller. I'm sorry, and
mhm,
Anna Taylor Joy.
mhm.
I recognized her from The Menu. Have you seen that movie, The
Yes,
Menu?
I've
Yeah,
seen that
that's where
movie.
I was like, where did I know this chick from? I was like, The Menu,
Why did she
The
give me
Menu.
like, Black Widow vibes, bro, when I first saw her at the beginning of the movie?
Right,
It gave me Black
right.
Widow vibes, yeah, for sure.
So if you guys get a chance, check out this movie again. It is on Apple TV or wherever you can get a hold of this movie. But with that being said, thank you everybody for sticking around this long. This review went on. It was a little more detailed and a little more intricate than we anticipated, but we hope you enjoyed it. We hope we covered it well for you guys, and we will see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.